Well, hello, and welcome, one and all. We are back. Just 2 years later, Phoenix World Championship is greeting you once again for its 5th season. We are at Sochi Autodrom, overcast evening in Russian southern beautiful landscape, which is less beautiful than the Soto Costa, but we will disregard that completely and welcome you again. Just the first out of 8 races this season. The qualifying is well underway. We have 3.5 minutes to go, and we have 12 drivers on the grid today. Almost full grid from those who decided to participate in the championship. And we will definitely see a very interesting challenge. So far, McLaren team is all alone at the top, 54.8, an incredible pole time. In practice, barely anyone was able to get out of 56s really, and he is the one getting out of 55, so that's definitely the first statement from the driver regarding his ambitions to seal yet another championship. So, this season is completely different from what we were used to. Car sounds a little bit loud. That is entirely fixable. We're gonna drop that just a tiny little bit. And thank you, quality assurance. Let me know if that's better. I dropped it a tiny bit. So, we have gone away with 2 race format. We are having one single race that is going to be 60 minutes long, and in that race there is a mandatory pit window between 20th and 40th minute. I believe you're going to see it on screen as well when the pit window will open. The cars are the same GT3 Plus, but during the 2-year hiatus they have been reworked and significantly improved. Better aero, better suspension, same engines, and they should be more interesting to drive and to compete in. 2 minutes to go. We still don't have... we have 2 people off the board currently, from what I see. Viperian and Ghost of the Underlove, 2 Kiwis, are unable to get a valid lap in. We have minute 45 to go. Let's see where they're at. One is on pit lane, and the other is also on pit lane. So, either they're getting ready for that final push, but it's 1:54. I don't think they're gonna get another time. So that's an interesting option from 2 Kiwis who are probably gonna be starting from back row. Meanwhile, everybody else is on their laps. Disregarded for Psychedelics, who decided to develop a new road on track, which is not exactly where the track limits go. We're on board with Saltseeder, who's going to be starting his new lap, 1:56.1, not the best time for the German, who's going to be racing for Racing Team Intel. They have 2 teams with identical names, so I'm gonna be calling them Black and White, based on their car colors. They're representing Vodafone and Castrol liveries, and you're gonna see McLaren Team and McLaren Team and Saltseeder in Racing Team Intel White. My apologies, and not James and Cap are gonna be in black cars. So overall we have a few privateer entries, and alongside Racing Team Intel we got Framed Automotive, 1 car entry, PRT Black of Viperian and Psychedelics, PRT Orange of Nemades and Jifu, and we also have a newly expanded entry of Ghost of Underloved and I believe Cool K, which is GSR by Ghost Dragon. We'll see how they respond. Meanwhile, Psychedelics 55.3 from Psych. Good result. He now jumps onto the 2nd spot, moving down not James. and Salzgitter, meanwhile, in the third sector, very, very technical turns, 14, 15, now approaching 16 and 17, off camber, over the crest, keep the car intact, you see how loose it is, very easy to lose the car. We see improvement on the dash for Salzgitter, he just needs half a tenth to improve 2 places. You see how tight it is, 56.1 for 3 drivers. And it's a final turn, very, very slow, losing some time. Salzgitter gonna be crossing the line, and the time is 55.8, and he jumps straight to 4th place, just 4 thousandths of a second faster than Framed Automotive. Great, great time. Meanwhile, let's see, everybody else is crossing the line. McLaren team is not improving, and that's our grid. McLaren team and Psychedelics front row, behind them not Jameson, Salzgitter, Framed Automotive, and Mars and 224 in third row. Nemedes and Gunsis, bad qualifying for the Latvian. In row 4, Neon Tiger and Cool K on row 5, and 2 Kiwis, Viperion and Ghost of the Underloved, are gonna be rounding out our grid in 6th row. So we'll see where it goes. We have a safety car this time around, an actual real safety car, and hopefully the screen is not gonna shake that much. There we go. So we're gonna have 1 lap on the safety car. They're gonna line up, and we're gonna have our usual 2 sorry, the broadcaster in the background is incredibly hilarious. We're gonna have our usual 2-row start, with the leader taking a rolling start for our 60-minute race. Another addition, as you can see, are the LED lights showing the names and the positions of the drivers, so you at home can better figure out who is where and which car are we looking at, even if we are not familiar with the numbers. Although they're plastered absolutely everywhere on these cars, you will be able to see the letters are the abbreviations of the names of the drivers, and the numbers are not their race number, but it's their current race position. So you see the flashing number 1 on McLaren team's car. That means they're in first, and the flashing number means they're a race leader. So that is how our all new, all important parts of our cars work. So another addition this season, it's gonna be a single tire compound. It's gonna last approximately 1 race, but obviously the pit stop is mandatory and tire change is mandatory. So we're gonna see cars maybe sliding, those who will pick the extreme end of the pit window, either way too early and sliding at the end, or way too late and struggling to make it to the pit stop, but it should be just fine in the end. We have less than a minute to go for our first race of Season 5. Before we go, I want to thank every single person that's joined us on this hiatus. We haven't broadcasted for a long time, haven't raced these cars in a long time, but I'm glad we're back, and hopefully we'll provide some great entertainment for everybody at home watching us, and hopefully for the racing drivers as well. On that note, just a few seconds left before we are able to get off the grid and onto our formation lap. You see the lights, they don't mean much, we don't have standing start, but that's the cue to go. You see lights go on the safety car, and they are absolutely ready to go. Here we go. Safety car gets off the line, and our entire grid is starting their warm-up lap. You see the timer already ticking by. By rule, the time starts as the cars move off the grid, but it's 1 hour and 3 minutes. So by rule, the formation lap is expected to take about 3 minutes. So we take the start when we have 1 hour plus 1 lap to go. So this is how it works. This is the expectation. It might move a little bit above or below 1 hour, but that is how the rules work for this season. We have a multitude of cars. The front row is gonna be a Ferrari alongside a Mercedes. Then we're gonna have two Ferraris behind, then two Porsches on row 3. Then Nimides and Gunsis, two McLarens. You see the red-orange tint on the timing tower. Then another Ferrari of Neon Tiger, and we have 3 more Mercedes rounding out the grid. What is even going? Oh my! Excuse me? What is going on there? We have a car already in pieces, and the warm-up lap is just only going. I'm not sure what happened. That's not James that tumbled down. The rest of the grid appears normal, so something oh, there's another car. That's Psychedelics being stationary. I'm not sure what happened there. There is not James rolling along, and looks like we have a red flag here. Something happened, so we're gonna try all over again. Well, that's an interesting way to start. Something happened with not James there. So I'm not sure what happened, but we're gonna try again. Well, now I need to fill a little bit more time. I'm gonna try to figure out what just happened. So... okay, looks like there was a spinner. Someone spun from the second row. And considering not James was at the end, at the tail end of a crash, it looks like not James lost the car on the warm-up and got collected and crashed. So we are doing this one all over again. That is very interesting. We haven't even started racing and we already have cars in the walls. Well then. That's an interesting way to start. Let's see. Race control is now deciding the position of the cars. It looks like it will be a full restart. So nobody going to the back of the grid, and the time is not going to be adjusted. It's still going to be 1 hour plus 3 minutes as soon as the cars start rolling. So it is full restart based on the qualifying. And we're gonna try once more. Okay, less than a minute for the second start of a day for our only race. The cars have been somewhat silent. We are on board with not James, who is revving his car, and hopefully this time around the car is gonna make it in one piece to the start-finish line. 15 seconds and we're gonna be on board with the Pagani Huayra safety car for this season as it pulls away and we are getting ready to go once more. Lights are out and the car is away. That's actually kind of interesting to see this angle, as we can see the rearview mirror of the Pagani with everybody else lining up, bobbing, weaving and preparing to take the start. And we see the safety car cutting the course already, which is an interesting development. But yes, as we proceed through the track, we are expecting about 30 to 31 laps of action, possibly 32 if the leader is incredibly fast. We're gonna see about the race management. There might be some strategies. Remember that fueling is permitted at the stop, so the drivers are free to start with less fuel than they need and plan to refuel while they're changing tires, as tire change is mandatory. It takes about 20 to 25 seconds to change the tires of these cars, so all this time they're permitted to fill in their tanks. So I will sincerely doubt that anybody is going to be taking off with a full tank of fuel, but I guess we're going to wait and see. As the cars are on the back on the back bend, right now to turn 13, as the cars will now start slowing down and forming up the 2 wide grid, as we're on the final sector and ready to take the start. Safety car lights are still on as we are awaiting double file formation. Turns 16, 17. Safety car is getting ready to get off the track. The lights are green. That means the lap is official and we're gonna be starting. Now the field is in control of McLaren team, who's gonna round out turns 18 and 19. Remember, you're not allowed to start before the pre-agreed line on start-finish straight. You cannot go until everybody's on the straight. We're getting ready. And the start is gonna be any moment, and there we go. McLaren team is hard on the throttle, and we are going for our first race of season 2024. McLaren team comfortably in the lead behind. That's not James and Saltseeder, 2 teammates, technically in different cars, but it's all racing team Intel. So Saltseeder pulls out a little bit, trying to keep safe. Neon Tiger around Nimitis having a bad launch out of turn 3. So he is on the outside. He has 3 Mercedes cars all over his lone McLaren. He's trying to stay on the inside and he loses a lot of positions. He's now down to 11th with a bad start. Meanwhile, up ahead, Saltseeder and not James are behind one another. We'll see if they're going to be some team tactics in seconds, surrounded by a lot of racing team Intel cars. That's going to be McLaren team, not James and Saltseeder. All racing team Intel and the lone Mercedes of Psychedelics. Behind we have Framed Automotive and Martin 224. Everybody is roughly stationary now regarding the gaps to one another. So we are getting a rather comfortable lap 1. Everybody settling into the rhythm. Oh, that was very late braking by Framed Automotive. A little bit of smoke from Martin behind as well. So Framed a little bit late on the brakes. The tires might get cooked if you do that too much. You see Porsche still loose as it comes off camber. As the leaders go towards turns 18 and 19. 19 incredibly important to set up on the long straight. There will be drafting opportunities. No DRS. And we see, we have side by side between Framed Automotive and Marzen. Looks like Framed having a little bit of an issue again. Marzen comes by and now there's Gunsis hunting down. Bad qualifying for the Latvian, and now he's trying to recover as much as he can. Currently finding himself just in 7th position. Currently holding station, we have Kulke and Viperian, one behind the other in a long sweeping left turn. You have to stay to the left to have optimal trajectory into the next turn, turn 5. And if you mess that up, you might get under fire from the next car. And you see Viperian is hard on the brakes, but a little bit loose. He hit the curb, exiting the track, and that I think, made the car bottom out. Nemetis using the opportunity to sneak by, and now he is in 10th position. Interesting. Just one small mistake, and it's already a change of position. Psychedelics, meanwhile, trying to hang with McLaren team. McLaren team had a brilliant qualifying time, but looks like in race pace, Psychedelics and his mighty Mercedes is able to keep up just fine. That raw power of that car is definitely giving it some justice. Looks like we have an issue. That's Marzen off the track. In the chicane, Framed Automotive off the track as well, so two Porsches possibly had a collision and definitely went off the track. That's gonna be turn 14, the braking zone after the back straight. Both Porsches continue. Looks like no damage, at least no visible damage, but they're now down to 10th and 11th. So definitely a problem for two of them. And now they'll have to climb back from this. I'm not sure if there was contact. If there was, it looks like there are no consequences for either car. But definitely losing a few seconds of time in that issue. So just under 5 minutes into the race, and we have an onboard from Psychedelics trying to chase down the race leader. Psychedelics definitely a great performance so far. Obviously done lots of testing at Sochi Autodrom, but knowing the might of McLaren team, hanging on with them pretty well. So definitely knowing his car, definitely knowing his own capabilities, and forcing the American to push harder to keep his lead. You also see the inside of a Lumirank, the LED position system that I've talked about, that is essentially glued to the car from the inside. Here's the back straight, and here's the place where two Porsches made a mistake. It's a very tricky braking point. You brake while turning, so you have to keep your wheels pointed to the left slightly while pressing the brake pedal, or you risk going too shallow into the turn. So it's all about compromise. It's definitely one of the hardest, if not the hardest, turns on this track. Looks like another problem for Marzen. Oh, and he's facing the wrong way. That's gonna be turn 15. 2 laps in a row that Porsche does not agree with its driver. He turns it around, and now we see there is damage to the rear of a car. I wonder if it's the consequence of the first issue, as we saw 2 cars, and it looks like Marzen was ahead at that time. He does not go into pit, so looks like damage is minimal, but that might affect the car. You see the rear is a little bit crinkled. I don't think Framed Automotive had any damage to the front, but possibly, I think I see some damage to the front of the car. So looks like it's telling the tale of 007 missing the turn and helping Marzen off the track into the braking zone. As we continue, definitely some troubles here and there. Meanwhile, Nemetis is applying some solid pressure to Neon Tiger. That's going to be Ferrari versus McLaren. Nemetis had a bad first lap, let a few cars by, but he regained his composure, regained his pace, and now pressuring the American for 6th position. A very red Ferrari of Neon Tiger. Fifth lap for all of our drivers. Looks like Marzen off the track again. That Porsche is definitely having some issues currently, as he is mightily struggling to keep it on the track, and we see another damage mark. So looks like there was another collision with the wall at some point. So that Porsche is loose and not listening to its driver. Possibly some repairs are in order. Meanwhile, new fastest lap that's set by psychedelics, just 0.04 of a second faster than McLaren Tim. These two are not holding back and driving away from the field with solid pace. Great performance by both drivers here. So looks like Marsden is approaching the pit entry. He elects to continue. There's damage on the car, but remember, in about 12 to 15 minutes, we're gonna have the pit window open, and that will allow everybody to come in, service the car, and possibly repair the damage they have. That might be very important for both Marsden and Framed Automotive. Looks like slight mistake from Psychedelics. He's now more than a second behind McLaren Tim, or the American decided to just pounce and drive off, but still far from over in the battle for the lead 10 minutes into the race. Meanwhile, further down the field, we see the McLaren 650S GT3 Plus chasing the Ferrari 488 GT3 Plus. Two different cars. Obviously, each one has its own strengths, its own weaknesses. In terms of Ferrari, it's a rather loose car, and as you see, McLaren is also quite a handful if you thunderfoot it just a little bit too much, and you might be able to see it here as it comes over the crest. You have to just caress the car, just press the throttle just a tiny little bit. It's the car that definitely demands patience on the throttle, and now there is a little bit of a mistake from Neon Tiger, but there was nowhere to go. We saw it on board from Nemedis. He had the outside, but it closed down suddenly, so he did not dare to make a move there. He continues in 6th place now, chasing down the Ferrari. But as they're doing that, there is an Indonesian Kulke behind them who will gladly accept the sacrifice if somebody makes a mistake in their hard chase. Meanwhile, further up the road, we see a triple battle coming up, as it looks like Saltcedar and Gunzer slowly getting ahead. Oh, there's an issue for James, and he's sideways, he's spinning. He avoided the wall, but he lost a few positions. That Ferrari just came unglued at the exit of a corner. Just what I said about cars being loose. Just a bit too much throttle, and 2 positions lost instantly for now James. Now he finds himself in 5th. Thankfully for himself, he avoided the wall and is able to continue. Meanwhile, in the battle for 9th position, Viperian is a little bit wide, and that's an easy pass for Framed Automotive. Viperian did not fight that in the slightest, and that's 9th place for the orange Jägermeister Porsche. But yes, as we said, there's the Latvian, who is now chasing down Saltcedar for the podium position. Gunz is qualified in 8th place. He was incredibly far down. Now he's in 4th, chasing down podium. Great performance by the Latvian. Obviously, the top 2 are 7 seconds ahead and pulling some incredible times and getting away. So yes, this is a 1-hour race, 60 minutes plus 1 lap, and there is a mandatory pit with a mandatory tire stop in pit window, which is supposed to open, if I recall correctly, in 8 laps. While I'm talking, let me consult the actual regulations that are actually printed out. Yes, the pit window opens with 40 minutes to go, so the pit window opens in 8 minutes. And closes 20 minutes later, so the drivers will have 20 minutes to come in, change their tires, do anything else they wish, fuel, repairs, all allowed, but tires must be changed, and then they continue on their merry way to the finish of the race. 1 tire compound, it is a soft compound, but there are no options for the drivers, so they continue as is. And it looks like Kulke, as I said before, is very welcoming to this party up ahead, as he's able to close the gap, and now it's 3-horse race. Neon Tiger has a lot of cars in his mirror, and it's definitely not getting easier for him. You see, there is no conventional mirror in the Ferrari. There is a display, and that display is full of McLaren and Mercedes. So you see them battling behind. So it looks like very late on the brakes for Kulke, trying to put that Mercedes AMG to use, but still holding places for now. So very interesting to see how this battle goes. If they slow each other down, there is Framed Automotive after his spin is trying to regain positions and pulling Viperion with him. So if they keep battling, that might very well be a gaggle. Psychedelics and McLaren team are settling down on 1.3 second gap. It seemed to be somewhat stable for the last few laps. So the drivers in their rhythm, and it looks like absolutely possibly that the pit window and the choices of pit timing might be essential in possible overtakes. And that rings true also for every battle on track, as Gunses once again is now on tail of Salzir, poking out, trying to unsettle the German into mistake. And that's definitely going to be an interesting battle. Oh, there is a late send, and looks like outside is all but occupied, but there's a side-by-side, good exit by Kulke, and they're gonna be approaching the next right-hander. Kulke is not able to get late on the brakes, almost rear-ending Nemedes, who is going hard on the defense and holds station for now. Good defense by the Dane, and very aggressive move by Kulke, but all all fair. All nice and fair, and now you see Framed, as I mentioned before, just 1.5 seconds. It used to be 3.5, now just 1.5, so Kulke might now be under fire himself. Very interesting to see if the drivers will prefer to wait for a bit. It is an option. You can wait, you can drive together, wait for pit stops, and then settle your differences after all the pits are completed, and maybe having some free track in front of you while everybody else is in the pits. But the drivers definitely decided not to wait and figure it out on track. 1.7, Psychedelics is losing ground just a tiny little bit. Meanwhile, Malson is catching up to Ghost of the Underloft. That's for 11th place. After his early troubles, looks like that Porsche is starting to get back on tracks. And it looks like we had an overtake. That's 2 minutes 1 second by Kulke. So a mistake somewhere from a Mercedes allows the Porsche to get ahead, and that's a change for position due to another mistake. Kulke is gonna be looking to regain the spot, but maybe using the Porsche to catch up to the cars he lost earlier on. We'll see how that develops. Meanwhile, let's go back. That's Marzen against Ghost of the Underloft. That's GSR by Ghost Dragon in front, and the Martini racing on the old! There's a hard wreck! Porsche in the wall again! And I think that car might be broken for good. You see it pulling into the wall. Looks like there might be some broken steering here as it tries to continue. And it looks like it has to get into the pits as soon as possible. That car is barely drivable. Very, very hard contact. Looks like Marzen tried to get round the outside. And at the same time, the defending car moved there as well, leaving next to no space in a turn 1 bend. It's definitely a struggle. You see the steering is essentially bent 45 to 60 degrees. That has to be lent to repair, but if the car takes a lot of time to get back, Marzen might be able to get it within the pit window so he doesn't have to stop again. Obviously it's a huge time loss, but maybe something is salvageable. 2 minutes 40, obviously it's going to be a very slow lap if that continues. We're gonna keep an eye. Obviously that car is gonna be in the pits for a while trying to repair that damage. And that car is not making it another lap unless Martin wants to lose a lot of time. Meanwhile, we continue with the race. Race for third is still pretty hard. Meanwhile, Neon Tiger finds a decent lap in the last lap, gets a 2-second gap from Nemaitis. Everybody kind of stringing out at this point of the race, with the pit window soon opening up. So hopefully getting into a bit of a rhythm, just not being too extremely aggressive. And yeah, definitely more race to be had after pit window. And for now, looks like Gunses is being extremely level-headed. He's sitting behind Saltcedar. He's essentially saving a little bit of fuel, maybe overcut just a little bit, if that is working. Or more importantly, waiting and seeing what Saltcedar ahead does. There we go, Martin is in the pits. There is a mistake from a Latvian. As soon as I say that, commentator's curse strikes. That car is in the pits, and that's gonna be a repair. 41.08, so still 1 minute till pit window opens. It looks like it's gonna be an extra stop for the Brit to satisfy the pit window. Very unfortunate for him. He's gonna go a lap down with the damage. But still, 7 races left to get it back on track. We do have a drop week as per usual, so the worst result will not be scored in the championship. So this unfortunate race result might be completely wiped with much better results further down the road. So looking at where the leaders are, looks like we will have pit window open at the end of this lap. So we might see somebody dipping in early. I can see Gunses trying an undercut on new tires against Saltcedar as the closest car on track, who's been following for a while, but not close to the distance from where he can attack. Obviously the best possible points would be turns 2 and 14, but he's not close there. So interesting to see how the Latvian decides to approach this. So looks like we have the first car in the pits, this Ghost of the Underloved. The pit window is wide open. You see him trying to loosen up the car, to warm up those tires. So that's the first car in pits. Gonna go a lap down, so we'll have black flags. That's gonna be Psychedelics behind, so that might be important to get out of the way as quickly as possible. You see the gap opening up to 4.5 seconds, so McLaren team is running away with it. And oh, there is a little bit of a lockup, I think, for the Mercedes, which is convenient for his car mate, shall I say. Psychedelics going right on by, but obviously these cold tires are not extremely easy to deal with, so gonna remember that if somebody stops. And there's Marzen in pits again, so this one is counting against the mandatory pit stop. So looks like backmarkers only so far in the pits. We continue on, leaders are holding off. waiting for a more opportune moment. So as I consult the rules, tire blankets are utilized. So it looks like Coolcade dropped down. Now 6 seconds behind Viperia, not sure what happened, but another mistake looks like from an Indonesian who goes wide again, possibly some damage. Now we have this duo approaching the back marker, Ghost of the Underloved being passed by Saltcedar and Gunsis, hopefully facilitating the pass as easy as possible. As we've witnessed this battle for a long time, and definitely blue flags will be waving, but as we have discussed in previous seasons, blue flags are informational only. Meanwhile, we have first of the competitors, not James, in pits for the mandatory tire change. We see the duration, it's gonna be the longest 20 seconds of his life as he changes tires and goes back on track. There is gonna be Coolcade pass, and looks like Ghost of Underlove will not be able to pass. So that's the oh! Looks like we have an issue. Or not. Not James seems to be on pit. But not in the car. So I'm not sure what happened there. We'll continue on, but it's a weird pit lane issue potentially for not James. Not sure what happened there. Potential technical issues with the car. But that would be... maybe that's the reason for the pit and not trying some tactics early on. We'll have to ask him later. So far he remains in the pits. One of the changes simulation-wise we made this season is all cars in the race will stay on the server regardless of their status. And there we go! Saltcedar dives in the pits trying to undercut Gunsis. And there is the first tactical move of the day. Saltcedar dives down, and now it's absolute hammer time for the Latvian. Let's see how he performs here on this lap. You see the delta, as you see the number 6 on his dash in the middle, that's the gear, and to the right you see negative 0.021, that's his delta. If it's minus or if it's negative, he's going better, he's going faster. That's incredibly important. He needs the lap of his lifetime to rejoin ahead of Saltcedar after the pit cycle. So needs to be qualifying laps now. The car is possibly light on fuel, not extremely satisfied with the tires, but it has to go fast and it has to go now. Staying on board with the Latvian. We'll see if he responds right away or if he waits a little bit longer for his pit cycle. Still 15 minutes to go in the pit window, so lots of opportunities. We see plus 0.2, so not the best lap. Best lap for Gunsis was 55.8, so with plus 2 he's now going for 56 flat. That's an incredible fast time if that's what it's going for and not the previous lap delta. Not sure what the setting is. Obviously we'll see at the end of this lap what the setting was. And the Latvian is approaching the end of a lap. Let's see what the decision will be regarding the pit stop. He's staying on track. He is electing to drive for as long as possible, building that gap if possible. So we see end of a lap, that's 0.4 back, and the lap time is looking 6.2, 6.3, yes, that's correct, that's against his fastest lap time. So that's 56.3, the fast lap for Saltcedar was 56.2. So incredibly fast lap time for the Latvian, almost matching the absolute best Saltcedar was able to drive. So definitely will be important the response of number 55 or Racing Team Intel, who is gonna you see he's a little bit loose here. He's gonna cross the line now. We'll see the difference. Obviously, it's not gonna be too important since it was the outlap, and it's not gonna be a representative time. But he's now under fire from Viperian as well, who's doing 56.9. So if he gets into the fight, that might be an absolute blessing for Gunsis, who will just drive away like nothing. You see Viperian is really on the tail, so the Kiwi in a PRT Black Mercedes is not gonna care much about the battle Salt City has. If he can catch up and pass, he will do just that. He's a careful driver, but if a pass can be done, it will be done. We are almost at the halfway point of the race. 11 cars continue, not James. Looks like it's a DNF as he remains on pit lane. Bit of a mistake from Viperian. It looks like Salt City can breathe a sigh of relief, and as he is now all alone. Meanwhile, the battle continues between Nemedis and Framed Automotive. They were close to each other for quite some time, about 10 minutes now, chasing each other, and we'll see maybe some tactical decisions here as well. Psychedelics now 56.2, so losing pace on aging tires, while McLaren team, being an absolute robot, he is just continuing to slap lap time after lap time. See, they're close. So McLaren versus Porsche, two different cars once again. It's absolutely pleasing to see the different cars. And there we go, Framed Automotive. As soon as I say that, dives onto the pit lane and goes for the undercut. Caught up to Nemedis, now gonna jump into the pits and hope that the new tires will give a little bit of an advantage. We're gonna be spectating the pit stop of Framed, barking at the stop, not missing his pit box, which is incredibly important here. If you have to reverse, that's at least a second down the drain, and there was less than a second between them. We'll see where he rejoins, but it looks like there is a little bit of open space between Kulke and Ghost of the Underloved here, so that's where he can slot in. Definitely gonna be convenient. And there we go. Exit pits. Solid result and back on track. We'll see the first turns. The tire warmers are on, but obviously it's not going to be up to racing temps initially. It's not going to be as bad as with DTM cars in previous Phoenix World Championship seasons, but it's still not optimal, so you have to be careful. And looks like something happened with Neon Tiger here as he lets Nemedis through. And a little bit wide, so an issue for the American. We missed that one as well, but no damage on the car. Looks like just going wide or spinning, something in that regard. Meanwhile, our leader McLaren team is in the pits. Solid 7-second gap over Psychedelics, so it's regularly scheduled service, no problems with that. Salt Cedar catching up to Neon Tiger. Remember, Neon Tiger did not pit yet. So it's not a battle for position, but that might cost the position to Salt City, who was just ahead of Gunses before he pitted, and now he has to get around the Ferrari that's not gonna get out of his way. Or it will get out of his way. Never mind. Thank you, Neon, for completely undermining everything I was talking about for the last 15 seconds as he pisses off to pit lane. Thank you. Much appreciated. Right, we'll see where he rejoins. There was somewhat of a battle there as well. Considering Framed Automotive, I think he'll rejoin in front with a decent gap. But now we see a gap between Gunsis and Salt Cedar. You see almost 40 seconds. 20 stationary, 15 on pit lane. That looks like Salt Cedar is a little bit far behind. Oh! There's Viperian in the wall. The Kiwi is in the wall. I'm not sure about the specific turn, but looks like just missed breaking point. That's turn 2. So just sliding on exit of turn 2, I believe. Sorry, yeah, turn 2, turn 3. There is a vicious curb there. If you hit that, you can bottom out and be sent into the wall. So an issue for Viperian, who lost a place to Cool K, lost a lot of time, and continues in 7th place. And I believe there is a little bit of front end damage as we saw the car pointing at the wall. We'll see if it affects him at all. Meanwhile, our current race leader, his teammate, Psychedelics. Oh, sorry, very important moment. Gunses is on pit lane. Gunses on pit lane in the battle with Saltseeder. We'll see if he did enough to get ahead. He is in the pit box. Meanwhile, Saltseeder catching up to Ghost of Underloft. Still plenty of track to go through, and being a little bit caught up in the battle that all plays into Gunses' hands. That might be a great overcut. Saltseeder still stationary behind, still stuck, unable to get anywhere. There we go, a mistake from Ghost of Underloft. Saltseeder back on track, but Gunses is already going on pit exit. There is Gunses, there is Nemedis, and Saltseeder is back, far back. There he is. It's a huge gap, and Latvian just played a brilliant pit window, absolutely nailing it, and rejoined in 3rd place with a huge gap as Saltseeder lost time. Cool K and Viperian are both on pit lane. Viperian exits. Sorry, not exits, enters 2nd, I guess. Yes, Cool K was ahead, both in pits, and both are gonna be shortly back on track. Nemedis is now chasing Gunses, maybe using him a little bit to gain some time before he has to pit as well. 5 minutes left in the pit window. Cool K and Viperian rejoin the track in 8th and 9th position respectively. 8 seconds back on Neon Tiger, who himself is 8 seconds back on Framed Automotive. There we go, Psychedelics is in the pits. Obviously gonna be behind our race leader, but it's interesting to see how close was Gunses able to get to Psychedelics while he was busy racing nobody. Here we see Gunses plenty far away, that's 14 and 15. He's navigating, so he still has 4 turns to go. Treacherous 15, not loose, very cautious, very comfortable. And now 2 more turns to go. McLaren team goes by, which means a few corners. There we go. Nemedis dives into the pits. Psychedelics exits, and it looks like the gap between Saltseeder and Gunses is going to be about the same as the gap between Psychedelics and Gunses. So good exit, and we'll see the gap shortly. 2:02.1 from Gunses on the exit. Again, faster than Saltseeder there. Good pace, but 9 seconds back on Psychedelics. We're gonna have about 25 minutes, about 12 more laps, and Gunses will need to eat about a second a lap from this time to try and challenge for 2nd place. Definitely a great recovery drive for the Latvian. Meanwhile, Nemedis in the pits. I believe he would be the last car to complete his mandatory pit stop. Now back on track, we'll see where he rejoins. Looks like it will be close between Nemedis and Framed Automotive again on the exit of the road. There we go, almost side by side. Nemedis on the inside. Looks like Framed is on the outside. He's gonna be harder time braking, but he's ahead. Another overtake by the virtue of pit cycle. Good call by Framed Automotive with an undercut. And Nemedis loses position and rejoins in 6th place. Now he has to get back and overtake once again. A second between them. That's going to be the closest battle between those two. The pit window is going to be closing soon, but I believe everybody has completed their stops. And with that, I believe it's prime time to go to Pure Sound. window is now closed. We have less than 20 minutes to go in the race. And the battle for 5th continues. Framed Automotive versus Nemedes, half a second between them. The Dane was chasing down the German all this time. And it's interesting that Gunsis is losing time to Psychedelics more and more. Psychedelics is pumping out 55.8s. And South City is slowly, very slowly catching up. Another interesting tidbit is that Marzen slowly catching out to Ghost of Andalov despite extra pit stop. 23 seconds with 18 minutes to go. Definitely doable. So we'll see how they proceed here. But looks like an attack might be coming. The Dane is lurking, 2 orange cars, but 2 different manufacturers, 2 different teams, but one desire to get to 5th place for both of them. Very different races. Nemedes had a terrible start, had to fight back to find himself where he is framed. Had a decent start, but then an issue with Marzen at the braking zone of turn 14 dropped both of them down, so he had to fight back after a decent start. And what I believe own mistake. Definitely will need to see more information about that as steward reports will become available. But for now, operating with what we have. Definitely an interesting race throughout. Oh, we have a car loose! Oh, that's Framed! Framed Automotive finds himself loose out of turn 8. Ghost of Andalov loose in 9 as well. But it looks like it's a change of position, forcing a mistake. Nemedes goes through and the Dane is in top 5. There we go, just a bit of pressure and that Porsche is becoming loose and a little bit unstable. It's not about pure pace and pure overtaking ability. It's the ability to scare your opponent off the road that also counts here. But obviously that's not the end of a battle. That Porsche would definitely want the position back and still has over 15 minutes to do so. Here we go on board with an incredibly orange machine. Don't think we've been on board with a Porsche this race yet. Definitely very Jägermeister inspired, as in only after a couple of shots of Jägermeister you would be interested enough to paint your entire roll cage deep orange. Race continues. You see the car pulling close. So late, way too late on the braking for Framed Automotive. Almost another collision. Had to pull out of it and losing a lot of time on the brakes. Nemedes drives away 2.5 seconds immediately after one late brake by the orange Jägermeister 007 car. Very, very easy to make a mistake. Very difficult to recover from it, as we've just seen. Nemedes continues to just be consistent. That's all that's needed from him. Just be consistent enough to not let anyone close. Very good performance. Meanwhile, Marzen is closing in. There we see Neon Tiger, who is a lap ahead from Marzen. And they continue catching Ghost of Andalov. You see that car ahead, the 722. But that will be for 10th position. That is an important move for that Porsche. Picking up a little bit of a drive from Neon Tiger. Neon Tiger just gets out of the way. It looks like he's not interested in any battles and just tries to get to the finish line. So he lets the faster Porsche by despite it being a lap back and proceeds with caution. He's in 7th place. He's not exactly racing anyone, so he just needs to save that place not make any mistakes, and get his points. And now we see a battle for 10th place. That's Marzen and Augusta Viandelov. We've seen how it ended the first time. Marzen tried a move on this very straight. It did not work and fed him straight into the wall on the left. Now it's the second part. The 7-second difference in the lap time. So Marzen will be there sooner rather than later. 13 minutes left in the race, and there we go. He is on the back bumper. Now it's an important time to figure out how to pass. When to pass, how to pass. Oh, you see there's a curb! What I've been talking about, bottoming out on the curbs. Just a little bit too much and it spat him out. Right on the outside, ruining that corner and almost ruining that car. Good decision by Marzen to catch the car, get out of it, and live to see another day. But now, obviously, the Porsche has to wait, and the Ferrari behind also has to wait. Looks like the next opportunity will present itself after the next turn. Has to get the moment just right, but on the inside, for some reason, defending rather than attacking, and way too far to make any reasonable move into turn 14. Let's see if he catches up and still makes a move. He is getting into the draft, he's getting closer, and on the outside there's a move, and there is a pass for 10th place. Marzen gets around, goes to Viandelov, great move, and Neon Tiger sneaks by and continues on his merry way. Top 10 for Marzen with that great move. Meanwhile, Framed Automotive losing time to Nemedis. 58.2 versus 57 mid for Nemedis. The Dane turned on the jets and definitely is running away now. If we look at the rest of the field, Psychedelics and McLaren team more or less stationary gap. 9 seconds, then Guns is plus 17 more. He is not able to replicate his best late in the race, so he's holding station. Very likely glad to have his third place after a disastrous qualifying. Back then there is Salt Cedar, now 10 seconds back, now going into double digits. Definitely a bad second part of a race for the German. Nemedis would be happy to have his 5th place, 28 seconds back, but most importantly 4 seconds ahead of this car of Framed Automotive. Next up, Neon Tiger, 15 seconds back. Used to be 12, but obviously that issue with Ghost of Viandelov, waiting for Marzen to pass. Lost a little bit of time, but looks like he's just trying to get to the finish line. Then we have Kulke in 8th, Viperion in 9th, Marzen in 10th, and Ghost of the Viandelov in 11th. Looks like Not James is gonna be classified as DNF. Interestingly enough, you see on Framed Automotive's car, there's still a battle scar, so no repairs were done during that time at the pits. Looks like it's been absolutely minor issue, which does not affect handling in any way. Interesting. Meanwhile, switching to our race leader, that's McLaren Tim, in our Ferrari of Racing Team Intel, absolutely far in the lead, 9-second gap, getting lap after lap, consistently heading into turn 14, heartbreaking. You see how smooth it is. The car is not loose, the car is just handling perfectly. Just a little bit of oversteer to get the car rotated just as much as he would want to. And so far it's absolute cruise control for our race leader. He is teaming up with Salt Cedar, who is currently in 4th, so that might be our team leaders after race 1. Psychedelics in 2nd is teaming up with Viperion in 9th. Gunsis is a privateer entry. And Nemedis' teammate is not here today. So definitely a good chance to take an early lead for racing team Intel White. And since the race calmed down a little bit towards the end, we have less than 10 minutes to go, I think it's as good of a time as any to go to our second and final pure sound of the race. Six minutes plus one lap is all that separates us from the end of the first race of Season 5 Phoenix World Championship. We are looking at our race leader, Racing Team Intel White, car number 71 of McLaren team, 10 seconds ahead of the nearest competitor. Cruising to victory, Lap and Ghost of the Underlove currently residing in 11th place. So gotta be cautious, no risks at all. Just getting to the end and making sure those 40 points are in the bag. So looking for the inside line here, side by side, and that's a pass facilitated just fine. And McLaren team is on his merry way ahead. 5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Looks like the gaps have mostly settled. So unless something happens on track, it's gonna be pretty much the same order. All the battles have been settled. Looks like Framed Automotive is catching up just a tiny little bit, but not enough to matter. With still 5 seconds separating him and Nemaitis towards the end of a race, there would have to be some monster laps in order to be able to catch him. So definitely a very interesting race at the start, some battles, some issues and some fights from the back. A couple of great moves in pit windows for Framed Automotive and Gunsis. Unfortunately, Framed was unable to capitalize on that and lost the place back. But very interesting to see different tactics, different cars, and what we see, we are gonna have 3 different cars on the podium today. So evidently the changes that were done to GT3 Plus worked, and we have a very interesting and diverse field of cars that is gonna be competitive throughout the season, hopefully. Still waiting for a few more cars to join the grid during the future races. Not everybody was able to make it. Looking specifically, we're missing a Ferrari of Autumn Racing. We are also missing the final Racing Team Intel car of Cap, James's teammate. The second PRT orange car of Jiffo, and a privateer Audi, the only Audi in the field of Huntex. Those are the 4 cars that are not on track today. Another car that's not on track is Echo, because he is way too lazy to drive these cars. And possibly some new entries. Who knows? Never say never. Still 7 races to go, and the next race is gonna be in January already. So we're gonna be presenting you with the 5th season, and then immediately going on holiday break. Drivers are gonna rest up for almost a month and meet you all on January 14th at Dubai Autodrom. This will be the first time ever we have an official series race at Dubai. New track for the drivers, but they have plenty of time to get used to it, plenty of time to improve their racecraft and have a great race there. And for the whole schedule, as McLaren team is catching up to Viperion, looking for a pass, a little bit of a light flash on the inside. Viperion not fighting that in the slightest, and the leader is through. He's gonna have 2 more laps to go as the clock ticks to minute 50, as the leader crosses the timing line 55 for his time, which is the fastest time of the race with an overtake. What a guy! 55.4, absolutely flying out there in the Ferrari. McLaren team fighting his pace towards the end. Beautiful, beautiful job. But as I was saying, our full calendar, we're gonna have 8 races until the end of March. We're heading to Dubai next. After that, we are moving out east to the Surfers Paradise in Australia, Gold Coast, which is gonna be tight, narrow streets, incredibly dangerous, incredibly fun, and we might see some unpredictable results there. After that, we are moving further east. So far, we end up west in Virginia International Raceway. And after this little world tour, we end up in Europe with the last 4 races, starting at Autodrom Most in Czechia, followed by 3 classic circuits that's gonna round out the championship. That's Imola, Red Bull Ring, and the traditional finale at Hockenheim Ring. This is the schedule for season 2024, 5th season of the Phoenix World Championship. Make sure to tune in to the races, and for more updates you can visit our Discord or our Instagram page, where more information is posted. Oh, we have a car off. That's Cool K. That's Cool K off, and there is Viperion. That is for position. That's 2 Mercedes cars fighting for position side by side towards the end of the race. Viperion crosses over and closes the door. We suddenly have a battle on our hands. Cool K makes a mistake, and that's 2 Mercs. And we gotta have 1 more lap. Everybody on the final lap. If Cool K wants that place back, he'll have to make a move now. A very costly mistake for the Indonesian. That's a Merc with Marvin the Martian showing the middle finger very aptly towards the car that was just overtaken right before the end of a race. That's a battle for 8th place raging on. We're gonna stay here as we obviously have the race leader just ahead, McLaren team. Very clear. Oh, there's a hard move for Cool K. Exiting the track, extending the limits. Definitely gonna have a talking to from his stewards, but everybody trying their best to squeeze every possible tenth on the final lap. Viperian is pushing hard that Mercedes. You see it looks like it mirrors the steering just a little bit sideways in that car. Possibly some issues with the time he face planted the wall in turn 2, or maybe it's just my imagination playing games on me. But so far he stays ahead, and we're gonna have exactly one overtaking opportunity, which is coming up right here. But Cool K is way too far to have a move. He's looking, but there's nothing there. So barring a mistake from Viperian, that's gonna be P9 for Cool K. But we have to switch to the race leader. There he is. Absolutely flawless race. Number 71 from Racing Team Intel. McLaren Tim is gonna be the race winner for race number 1 in Phoenix World Championship Season 2024. What a performance from the American, taking the checkered flag. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Viperian takes 8th place from Cool K in 9th. Those are lapped cars. The next at the finish line is Psychedelics, the German, with a solid race, sitting comfortably in 2nd position overall. Brilliant race, best of the Mercedes. Next up is gonna be Gunses, terrible qualifying, but pushing hard, overtaking several cars, and finally finding himself in the podium spot. Great recovery drive for the Latvian with a beautiful handmade livery. It's a family privateer entry. McLaren, that rounds out our podium. Top 3 for Gunses, Saltseeder, great start for car 55, and he's gonna be our team championship leader alongside car 71. But obviously disappointed with 4th as he had 3rd early on. But great race for the Dane, Nemedes, securing P number 5. Not many feet were placed wrong this race, apart from a start. The very first lap had an issue, but after that, just going up and up and up and end up in top 5. Frame Automotive, mistake early on, and there they are, Framed Automotive and Mawson, 1 lap apart, but together again, finishing the race, 2 Porsches together, crossing the line in a beautiful style. And last but not least, 7th place, Neon Tiger, very cautious, but at finish line in 7th place with a healthy car. Very, very good result for the American. And that is gonna be it for the drivers. And as our race winds down, let's see if we can chat with someone, if someone is willing to talk to us here. And hello. And looks like this one doesn't talk. We've tried to talk to Nemedes. I can't quite hear him. So let's proceed. Maybe somebody will be more talkative than the Dane. Hello, do you hear me?
Hello.
There we go. That's our 2nd place finisher, car number 93 of the Mercedes of Psychedelics that we're talking to. Solid race overall for you. Seemingly had a good pace on par with the McLaren team at the start. What happened later? You seem to slow down a little bit compared to our winner.
Yeah, I had a decent pace at the start, but then I lost focus a bit around the pit stop, and from there I just couldn't close the gap again, and was like trading faster laps with him, I think. And yeah, that about sums it up.
So looks like a good result for you. 2nd place very convincingly. Is the Mercedes comfortable for you to drive? Did you find it not a handful as it once could have been? And do you foresee it going as well for the future races?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely very comfortable with the car, and I do hope that I can keep up the pace for the next rounds. but we will see about that come Dubai in 4 weeks, I think.
Yes, almost a whole month ahead. Well, congratulations with the good result, and hope to see more of that.
Yep, thank you.
All right, we'll see if we can poach a driver from a team channel. Hello, hello.
Hey, Georgian.
Okay, you're a little bit quiet. Let me crank you right up. There we go. Here is our race winner, McLaren Tim. Absolutely dominating performance, even though early in the race it looks like there might have been a two-horse race. But late in the race, absolutely great pace, and you've set the fastest lap on the penultimate lap with an overtake. Did you find the car more comfortable to drive on low fuel? How did you manage to get even faster towards the end?
Yeah, I think overall, I think we went pretty safe with the setup, which was really good. I think we, tried to eliminate as many of the snappy characteristics of this car as possible. But it was kind of hard to push in the beginning because it was just very understeery. I think that allowed us to come in during the race when the rear tires were wearing down. The car balance was just really good. But yeah, I was definitely pushing the whole race though, because yeah, that Merc is really fast in a straight line, and Syke was driving it really well. So luckily, there was a gap before the pits, so I didn't have to worry about undercut, overcut too much. But yeah, after that, I saw him take away the fastest lap, so I had to try to refocus as much as possible and clean up all the time there was, and yeah, I had to push really hard. So, but yeah, it was really good.
So about the next race, it's almost a month away, but it's a new track for us in Phoenix World Championship, Dubai Autodrom. Have you tried it? Do you have any opinions on it yet, or will there be some winter testing ahead of you?
I mean, I played it on Real Racing 3 once, so that's got to count for something. But yeah, definitely we'll have to try the track out. I think Sochi was a really unique track, so yeah, we'll just see how it goes next time.
All right. Well, congratulations with the win and the lead in, I believe, both drivers and teams championship after race one.
Yeah, thanks very much, and thanks for the show.
Thank you. Let's see. We have time for a couple more. To split up. We'll hopefully talk to someone who didn't have such a great race due to some circumstances. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Why is everybody so quiet today? There we go.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
No, it's my settings. Here is Martin224, one of the two Porsches, and probably the most obvious question. What happened there between the two Porsches? We saw the aftermath, we didn't see what exactly happened.
I got rear-ended.
So
that was fun. So yeah, I got rear-ended, and then that spun me around. And then I got going. That was fine. And then I took a curb and spun around again. And because of the damage I had, then resulted into me hitting a wall, getting myself into reverse as well, which damaged my engine. And then I had to pit before the pit window. So that was fun.
yeah, we saw that second one, and after the initial rear end, saw a little bit of rear end damage. So that impacted
I had a little
you.
bit of a I had a little bit of a moment when I would try to go left, and then my car decided, nah, go right. And then apparently these cars don't have a neutral safety, so you can just park it in reverse and full blast it.
Wow.
Which is what then spun me into the wall. So that was fun.
I guess your mechanics won't be happy after this race.
No, and then obviously I pitted before the pit window, and I forgot that I had tyres and fuel in it, so I just decided to, what's the word? I decided to penalise myself and went round again and into the pit again inside the window, just to get tyres.
I see. It looked on the broadcast. It looked like the Porsche was a little bit of a handful comparing to other cars. Is the engine placement playing a role, or it is just
I don't know.
an illusion?
I didn't test the other cars, to be honest. I I find this car very, very easy to drive. It is on the ragged edge, obviously. With the rear damage, though, however, that makes it even worse, which is what then caused me to continue to have issues. But after I fixed the car, I was pretty good, and I was very happy to see that I was knocking out 56s and 50, like one very, very high 55, which was very good. And I obviously, yeah, I couldn't get myself unlapped myself, but would have been nice.
I see. Well, next race in almost a month. Plenty of time for
Yeah.
preparation, and
Yep.
hope to see you there.
Thank you.
All right. I definitely have a certain question for this driver, so might as well. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Our resident Latvian. Okay, first things first, with the negatives. What the hell happened in the qualifying? I did not expect to see you that low.
Honestly, it was just a poor form for me in qualifying. Made a couple mistakes, and in my laps, it was just a pretty poor performance from my side.
But obviously, good recovery throughout the race. The car seemed to have quite a bit of pace and, most important, stability throughout. Is that a trait of the McLaren, or just something that happened throughout the race for you?
I think the setup was a little bit on the conservative side, so that the corners are a little bit easier to go through. I think I lost a little bit of top speed because of that. I saw the Porsche just go away from me easily, and yeah, I was losing to the cars of Syke and Tim around half a second to a second per lap. So maybe the setup was too conservative for that.
I see. Talk about the livery. So the, I believe, hand-painted livery for the privateer entry of yours.
Yes, yeah, it's just a privateer entry of the Kraken that we have inside of our walls, and yeah, it was just hand painted by my wife.
Absolutely beautiful dark kraken. Thankfully, not looking for krakens on this track throughout the race.
Yeah,
And
I think it was fairly calm race for me, I guess.
looking forward to Dubai Autodrom. Have you tried it? Do you have any opinions on the track, and where do you expect to be?
I have never seen it before in my life, and I can only say that yes, I guess PRC is selling out to the Saudis now.
Okay, well, you have plenty of time to prepare, and hopefully closer to the front row than next time.
Yeah, hopefully that will be the case.
Right, see ya. Thank you.
And bye.
Alright, I think we can squeeze in one more.
Hello.
Hello. That would be Saltseeder, who provided quite a bit of entertainment for the podium battle. But tell us what happened during the pit window that dropped you back.
I just got out of the rhythm, and I don't know. Günzes is a bit faster than me, so the couple laps he had, without me blocking him, he pulled a gap, and then yeah, it was basically over. But it was a good race, so I'm happy with P4.
So regarding the pit window, you dove first, although you had track position. What was the expectation with the early pit?
So I didn't expect to be in front of Günzes, to be honest. So my strategy was low fuel at the start, and then like use the longer time it takes to change tires to fuel a little bit more. And yeah, that didn't work out because I had to pit then, and with one lap of fuel left, and yeah, I gave up track position, and yeah. But I don't know. I think it would have worked out like that regardless. So yeah, I'm happy like that, and let's see what comes next.
I see. Well, for you and Tim, definitely a good start of a season. I believe you occupy the top row in the team's championship. And about racing team Intel, do you prepare as a 4-car unit, or two teams have some separate secrets, separate strategies? How does that work in a 4-car entry?
We prepare together, like practicing, and the setup is usually provided by Tim, and then we give him feedback. So the other cars benefit from us as well, and I think that works pretty well. Cap couldn't make it today, but he will be there next race, and then we have 4 cars at the grid.
All right. Well, congratulations with the fun race, and expecting to see you in the next one.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Alright, I think that is all the time we have today. Thank you everybody so much for watching. This has been the first race of the season. Next time, tune in January 14th, same time. We go into Dubai Autodrom. New track for Phoenix World Championship. New track for most of our drivers, as you've heard through the interviews. And hopefully that means we'll have some entertaining results. And on that note, that'll be it from me today. This is goodbye.